Okay, so I'm going to be using this bright orange to add the blush to this piece, and I know it looks quite creepy from the start, and as I was painting I told myself just to trust myself and trust the process. So let's see how that goes. But when I placed down the orange on the cheeks and across the nose, I went a bit heavy on the orange, I gotta admit. Looking back, I feel like I should have started off with less paint and with a less intense color, but it is what it is. Anywho, so I did what I usually do when I blend in a new color on a dry layer, which is spreading out the edges and diluting the paint as I go along until the edge disappears. And well, with the amount of paint I placed down to begin with, I ended up just covering the face with a whole layer of orange, and with the green and turquoise base layer underneath, the mix of those two colors together layered on top of each other resulted in a more brown and gray color. So yeah, the colors ended up being less vibrant and more muddy, but even so, I wasn't mad with how the color turned out. I was still trusting the process. To help bring out a bit more vibrancy, I layered some more of the viridian green and some more of the cadmium scarlet, so the orange, onto the face so that you could at least see that it is a blend of those two colors. So I kept blending and layering until I was satisfied with how it looked, or really just until I felt like I worked it enough, and then I moved on to the hands and neck. With the hands and neck, I layered the green and orange back and forth and mixed the two colors together to try to get the same result as the face, since the skin tone on the face has to match the hands and neck. So I replicated the process I did on the face onto those areas, and I got them to match that same muddy color with the subtle pops of green and orange. While I was painting this, I didn't really think that something had gone wrong. It was looking kind of intense, but intense was what I was going for. That's part of why I chose the colors that I did, but I didn't realize how muddy it had become. While I was painting though, I could see that it was looking a little creepy, but at the moment I didn't think it was because of the color combination. I just figured that this was just the typical ugly phase that my art has to go through before it becomes a beautiful finished painting, so I just kept working it. Looking back and watching the process though, I feel like I could have blended the colors differently. Since I knew I was going to go with the vibrant orange as the blush, I could have toned down the green on the cheeks and nose, which I've done before and it works pretty well, but this time I didn't. And I could have started off with a less intense orange and just slowly built up the color intensity instead of starting off with the intense and spreading the color everywhere and mixing the green and orange a bit too much and ending up with a brown color. Or I could have picked out a different color that would lead to a less muddy combo, but in my head I was thinking back on when I did the debater piece and blended yellow and purple together and still maintained the vibrancy of both colors. That was what I initially was trying to achieve, but ended up failing on that front. Anywho, looking at it now, the skin tone does look very zombie-like, which I find hilarious, but even so, as freaky as it looks right now, it does get better. Even though the end result of this painting is not as punching in color as I wanted it to be, the painting does come together pretty nicely, so stick around to see how things end up.